Ka-52 is currently Russia's most advanced attack helicopter. In the recent Russo-Ukrainian war, the Ka-52 played a significant role, destroying Ukrainian Leopard 2 tanks and Bradley infantry fighting vehicles with its anti-tank missiles. However, the Ka-52 has suffered heavy losses on the battlefield. According to statistics from ORYX, it has lost 41 helicopters so far. Recent videos show that it has been shot down not only by anti-aircraft missiles, but also by anti-tank missiles like the American Javelin and Ukraine's own stugna-p. In this episode, we try to analyze two questions: how can anti-tank missiles shoot down helicopters, and why is Russia's most powerful attack helicopter, the Ka-52, so vulnerable to being shot down? In July, Ukrainian media published an article titled "Marines Shoot Down Russian Helicopter with Javelin Anti-Tank Missile System," confirming the effectiveness of the Javelin missile. So, the question is, how do anti-tank missiles shoot down Russian helicopters? In principle, the American Javelin anti-tank missile uses infrared homing guidance. Before launching the missile, the operator locks onto the target's infrared signature. Once launched, the Javelin missile autonomously tracks the target and releases a metal jet downward upon reaching it. This powerful metal jet is designed to penetrate the top armor of tanks. Helicopter armor is weaker and thus vulnerable to being pierced by the metal jet. Although this launching principle is meant to counter slow-moving tanks on land, if a helicopter remains stationary or moves slowly, the Javelin missile can effectively shoot it down. The Javelin missile has automated tracking, so shooting down a Ka-52 itself isn't surprising. But Ukraine has successfully used another missile, the self-developed stugna-p, to shoot down the Ka-52. The stugna-p missile is a Ukrainian-developed anti-tank missile that utilizes laser beam-riding technology inherited from the former Soviet Union. This means that a control device emits a laser beam toward the enemy target, and the missile follows the laser, adjusting its course based on the laser's movement until it hits the target. For this technology to work in shooting down Russian helicopters, Ukrainian operators must ensure that the laser remains aimed at the Russian helicopters at all times. However, a challenge arises if the Russian helicopters suddenly move, as it's difficult for human operators to adjust the laser in real time. This laser beam-riding guidance is effective against slow-moving tanks, but becomes challenging when dealing with helicopters capable of flight adjustments. This is evident from the video showing Russian helicopters hovering in the air while being targeted by Ukrainian missiles. Let's take another look at the video of Ukraine's attempt to shoot down a Russian helicopter. At the beginning of the video, Ukraine targets the Russian helicopter. After about 10 seconds of preparation, the missile is launched. After a few seconds of flight time, the missile finally hits its target. For the first 20 seconds of the entire video, the Russian helicopter hovers in the air without moving. Generally, if a Russian helicopter is flying normally in the air, it wouldn't be hit by Ukraine's anti-tank missile. So, here's a question: why did the Russian helicopter stay hovering in the air for more than 20 seconds without moving? The Russian helicopter had to hover in the air to carry out a specific mission. Why? Because it was preparing to launch its own anti-tank missile. The anti-tank missile launched by the Russian armed helicopter Ka-52 is called the ORYX anti-tank missile, specifically the model 9K-121. This weapon was developed by the former Soviet Union in the 1980s and is the counterpart to the US Hellfire missile. Even though they are from the same generation of products, the ORYX anti-tank missile is considerably different from the Hellfire missile, especially in terms of guidance method. The Hellfire missile, developed in 1974, initially used laser guidance and later added radar guidance. It can be fired and then forgotten. However, Russian anti-tank missiles are not fire and forget. All Russian anti-tank missiles use the same guidance system called laser beam riding. As we explained earlier, laser beam riding means that from the moment you prepare to launch the missile until it hits the target, you must keep the laser aimed at the enemy target. The missile doesn't know where the target is, so it follows the laser beam you send out. Wherever you point the laser, the missile goes. When helicopters launch anti-tank missiles, to ensure the laser is constantly aimed at the enemy target, the helicopter itself can't make significant movements and is preferably hovering in the air. That's why we see a lot of Russian helicopters hovering in the air for extended periods in the Ukrainian battlefield. It's because they are attempting to target and launch their own anti-tank missiles. Helicopters are different from soldiers. A soldier can launch a missile in a field, in the grass, or in the woods. However, a large helicopter hovering in the air for a long time becomes a target for the enemy. This is the primary reason why the Ka-52 helicopters are frequently shot down on the front line. It's not because of the Ka-52 helicopter itself, but rather the limitations imposed by the weapons it carries. The development of the laser beam riding guidance for their anti-tank missiles is rooted in the weak state of their electronic industry. The Ka-52 helicopter itself is a distinctive design, created by Russia's Kamov Design Bureau, featuring contra-rotating propellers. We've seen videos before where the tail of the Ka-52 was hit in battle, yet the helicopter remained operational. For any other helicopter model, a hit to the tail would lead to a crash. This is because the tail rotor counteracts the torque generated by the main rotor's rotation. However, the Ka-52 helicopter employs contra-rotating propellers, with two propellers rotating in opposite directions on the top. We know that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When you have just one rotor rotating in one direction, it generates an opposite torque on the helicopter's body. To balance this torque, you need to add a tail rotor. But with the Ka-52's two rotors rotating in opposite directions, the torques they generate cancel each other out. Hence, the Ka-52's tail is not only shorter but also without a tail rotor, as it doesn't require one. Kamov Design Bureau has applied this design to several of their helicopter models. From a helicopter design perspective, it's a good attempt. However, aerodynamic layout and mechanical design are just parts of a weapons system. The backwardness of Russia's electronic and material industries guarantees that their weapons will face more limitations. The frequent shoot-downs of the Ka-52 on the battlefield are the most evident proof of this phenomenon. Including prototypes, Russia has produced about 114 Ka-52 armed helicopters. However, in recent years, the Ka-52 has experienced numerous accidents, and just before the war, Russia equipped around 100 Ka-52 helicopters. Up to now, through video and image confirmation, Russia has lost 41 Ka-52 helicopters, meaning they've lost around 40% to 50% of their Ka-52 fleet. If this war continues, the Ka-52 might truly face extinction someday.